Good morning, everyone. I know you're probably used to Jacob Shockey doing these, but he decided to bring a new face to the online chapel service this morning. If you don't know me, my name is Andrew Wolfe. I'm a senior youth ministry major at KCU, and I've been working under Jacob as a work study, and luckily I live on campus. So he asked me to bring the word today, and I'm really excited for what we're going to talk about today. But first of all, I really just want to address what's been going on with everything, kind of the situation at hand. I can't express enough to my fellow seniors how sad I am that our semester kind of was cut in half in the online courses. But just know that I've been praying for you all, and if you need anything, just reach out to Jacob. I'm sure he would love to help you. I'm not going to give my phone number out because that'd be weird. But it's just an unprecedented thing. But today we're going to be talking about how this situation kind of unifies us and brings us together through all the hecticness, and how God has made something beautiful out of this chaos that we're in right now. But during this time, I know a lot of us we're forced to do something that we're not used to do often, really, especially as college students, which is to sit and wait and be patient. We're facing so many uncertainties, and we're not really guaranteed anything during this time because this is so new to all of us and so just crazy right now with life as we know it. And if you're like me, you may have faced a time of crisis during this adjustment phase. For me, my life changed very drastically and very quickly with all this. And I could have never expected, like I said before, my last semester on campus as a senior to be cut in half and moved into online courses, although I respect and I know that that was the right decision going forward. I didn't really know what to do myself when that happened. And being a married man who lives on campus, I had to kind of watch and see as a lot of the people I'd been so close with and become friends with left campus. And for me, who's eventually going to move on from KCU's campus as well, I was very sad to see them go. And I was having a really difficult time. I was beginning to feel like I was losing my focus and passion as I tried to cope with the ever-changing world around me. Maybe some of you are feeling that way right now as well. I didn't really know what to do with myself, and I didn't know exactly what God would want for me or expect for me during this time. After quite some time kind of processing things and having an amazing spiritual conversation with my wife, who's an absolute vessel to me, I began to kind of settle down, and my uncertain vision, my clouded vision became more clear to me of what I was supposed to do. God wanted me to represent him more profoundly in a place where I sometimes felt I couldn't necessarily see him, within the walls of my home and with my family. I know this is probably a crazy statement to hear from a youth ministry major, but hear me out. We're facing an unprecedented time where just weeks before, the fast-paced, ever-changing world was asked to slow down and almost reset, drastically almost come to a stop. A lot of people have lost their jobs from this. Maybe you know someone who has been affected by this in that way, or maybe you are someone who this has affected in that way. And we as people are having to continue to go forward together in this time of uncertainty and uncanniness and live lives that now seem so unusual to us within the walls of our homes and around our family members. Because we were so used to just being able to go out. We would have a goal each and every day, whether it be to go to work and get that done, or go to school and get our schoolwork done, or maybe you play a sport, practice, prepare for the upcoming season, or if you were in the midst of the season, being able to play through the season that way. We all had goals each and every day we set out to accomplish, but now we're asked to stop and slow down for a second and reflect and just remain calm during this time of uncertainty and kind of chaos. And so we are just kind of thrown off completely by this new way of life. But the thing is, as I was thinking, as I was reflecting, as I was talking to my wife about this and how it's just so uncanny, I asked this question to myself: should it have been this unusual or difficult to adjust? Should it have really thrown us off so much to adjust to life this way? Think about it, though. Think about it with me. Although this pandemic has caused an unbelievable amount of pain and heartache around this world, think about the sense of unity that has grown from the situation. Think about the families that are having quality time to focus on one another. Think about the friendships, the relationships that are beginning to grow even more deeper now that we all have time to reflect together in this era. We all have a second to honestly breathe. And during that time that we are taking, when life slows down, we begin to just connect more, become more deeply in tune with one another, and actually address that we are in this together. We're facing this together. And it's been amazing for me to see how just people have begun to reach out and touch base with one another about how difficult a time they themselves are having. Something that the world struggled with before, addressing that we're having a difficult time, that people are having a difficult time in their lives. But we have come together through this moment, through this crazy world, and address that we together are having a tough time. And it's through that it's through stating that, it's through acknowledging that we are now becoming more deeply connected than ever before, in my opinion, in my vision, and what I've seen. Again, the question is, shouldn't this how things should have always been before? I wish they were. I wish we would have acknowledged in our lives how hard of a time we're having, and that it didn't take a pandemic for us to realize that we are all broken people and hurting together. Many times throughout the Bible, there's kind of been this call to be an example to the world. And you can go all throughout the New Testament and the Old Testament and see people being this example, being this image of God to others. In Matthew 5, there's a particular passage that I want to focus on today, just briefly. We're given this example of the type of role we are to play in the world around us, and I think this is now more evident than ever in the world we live in today. It says, stating in verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." We are called to be something, to be people that stand out. We're supposed to be so obvious within the world that we're supposed to stand out like a city on top of a hill. If you've ever been to a huge city, I'm originally from Louisville, so that's my kind of standard city. But if you've ever been to any major city like New York or Los Angeles or, I don't know, just a big city, if you've ever seen the light that it gives off from miles and miles away, you can see how that light is supposed to spread and how obvious that city is. But now imagine if that city was on top of a hill. Imagine if New York City was on top of a hill. Could you imagine how more obvious it would be? That is how obvious we're supposed to stand out. That is how much we're supposed to stand out in the world around us. And we're supposed to represent this light that we're emitting, this role, wisely. Not allowing ourselves to become overtaken by the darkness around us or to restrict ourselves with our fears and anxieties. I know during this time, it can be difficult and so easy to lose sight of your role in the world, as all of us, many of us, are given physical restrictions in interacting with others for the sake of their health and our health. But I want you to take a moment and look around you and see who's in your immediate vicinity. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's your friends, or maybe for some of you, you're on your own during this time. Whatever the situation may be, just know that your role has not lost value. You have not lost value. Rather, your vision, or your role itself, has just shifted from what it was before. Be a light to those who are around you now. Because your friends and family, represent and speak of God to them daily. Be a light to them now as you would others before. If you're on your own, then take time to be a light to yourself. Be still. Take time to care for your own intimate relationship with God, whether it be reading the Bible, speaking openly to Him, and just accepting His love for you. Those are just some small examples, and there are so many other ways that you can reach people. Luckily, we have technology like today that we can just reach so many individuals out there. Our closest friends, we can still see their faces and talk to them over FaceTime or have phone calls or text messages. Just be willing to reach out to them. Be willing to stay connected with people around you and be a light to them, even in this uncertain time. I'm sure many of you can have better examples than the ones I've given and have already started to do those things. But just take that role seriously. Although you may not necessarily be around, your friends as you would have before a KCU together, you can still be with them. Just take that role seriously and take that role wisely. As we kind of close today, I just want to read through Psalm 46 and allow it to be our prayer going forward. And I just pray and I hope for all of you that you would just meditate on this passage and that you would take this calling of being a light to the world, to your heart, and carry out the role throughout the world now and going forward. Stay safe, stay calm, stay connected, and stay the course going forward. Pray with me today, or meditate today as I read through this passage. In Psalm 46 it says this: God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her, she will not fall. God will help her at the break of day. Nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice, the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes war cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress." Have a great week.